So this we are going to discuss our Leetcode's problem of the day, and our problem is ugly number 2. So now let's see what is an ugly number. An ugly number is a positive integer whose prime factors are limited to 2, 3 and 5. Okay, so basically ugly number क्या है? उसके प्राइम फैक्टर्स. ओके, जो अगले नंबर के प्राइम फैक्टर्स होते हैं वो 2, 3 और 5 होने चाहिए. ठीक है. सो बेसिकली 9. इज 9 अगले नंबर? इसके प्राइम फैक्टर्स क्या है? इसके प्राइम फैक्टर्स है 3 और 1. ओके, बेसिकली इट इज हैविंग 3, सो इट्स अगली नंबर है. क्या 4 अगली नंबर है? इसके प्राइम फैक्टर्स है 2 और 1. यस, 4 भी अगली नंबर है. क्या 100 अगली नंबर है? 100. लेट्स सी इसके प्राइम फैक्टर्स क्या रहेंगे. इसके प्राइम फैक्टर्स बेसिकली है 2, 5. ओके, 2 और 5 भी है, सो बेसिकली 100 भी है. ओके, so for example let me consider 11. Okay, if 11 has prime factors of what? 11, 1 comma 11 only. Okay, 1 and 11 only it is having prime factors, or we can say 13. Okay, 13 is also having prime factors as 1 and 13. So basically these such numbers are not what? Ugly numbers. Okay, so how you can solve this problem? Come over here. How you can check that the numbers are ugly or not? Okay, so basically first of all I will write the code and explain you the approach. Okay, I will explain you the simple approach over here. Okay, then we will be solving the problem statement. Okay, so first of all, basically, let's initialize my ugly number. Let me initialize my ugly number. Here, list we can say with the first ugly number. Initialize the ugly number list with first ugly number. With first ugly number. Okay, I will now my ugly will be equals to what? 1. Ugly of 1 will be equal to what? 1 over it. Okay, means all numbers will be starting from 1 only. Okay, so now initialize the pointers for multiples of 2, 3 and 5. Initialize the pointers for multiples of 2, 3 and 5. Initialize the pointers for multiples of 2, 3 and 5. Okay, 2, 3 and 5. So basically let me initialize as I2 equals to what? I3 equals to what? I5. I am initializing it to 0. Okay, so now basically we will be continue generating the ugly numbers until we reach the nth one. Continue generating ugly numbers until we reach nth one. Okay, until we reach nth one. Okay, so let's see, we will be running up basically for loop, oh, sorry, while loop. Okay, basically we'll be running a while loop over there while our length of ugly, while the length of our ugly number here is less than n, while the length of our ugly number is what? Less than n. Okay, until it is less than n, we will be initializing our next ugly 2. Next ugly 2 with what? Ugly of I2 multiplies 2. Okay, let me give some spaces over here. Okay, so basically now my next number will be next ugly of 3 over here. it will be next ugly of 3 and next ugly of I3 multiplied 3. Okay. So and my third number will be next ugly of 5. Okay, next ugly of 5 with next ugly of I5 multiplied. Okay. So now we will choose the this was basically what this procedure was basically means calculating the candidates for ugly numbers. Calculate the next candidates. Calculate the next candidates for ugly number. For ugly numbers. Okay. Okay. Now next what we will be going to do? Next we will be going to choose the smallest candidate. We will be just going to choose the smallest candidate. Choose the smallest candidate. Okay. So basically we will be just first choosing the next candidate as next ugly of minimum. Okay. We will be just finding the minimum over here. Okay. So basically next ugly. Next ugly will be what? Minimum of these numbers. Okay. Minimum of these numbers. Next ugly of 2, comma, next ugly of 3, comma, next ugly of 5. Okay. We'll be finding the minimum of it. And then simply we'll be appending the ugly. Appending the ugly means next ugly in the ugly, uh, we can say array over here. Ugly list over here. Next ugly. Okay. Then we will be checking if our next ugly is equals to next ugly of 2. Okay. We'll be incrementing of our I2 with corresponding pointers. Okay. Let me write over here. Increment the corresponding pointers. Incrementing the corresponding pointers over here. So if if my next ugly is what equals to next ugly of 2. If it is next ugly of 2, we'll be simply incrementing in my I2 with 1. I2 will be what incremented with 1. So similarly, I'll be doing for this also. Okay, so if my next ugly is equals to what next ugly of 3, I will be incrementing my I3 with 1 over here. And similarly, if my next ugly is equals to next ugly of 5, I will be incrementing my I5 with 1. Okay, my I5 will be incremented by 1. So at last we will return the nth ugly number. Okay, return the nth ugly number. Nth ugly number over here. So basically, how we will just return what? Return the ugly of n minus 1 with the last number. Return of ugly of n minus 1. Okay. So now let's try to understand in the approach over here. Okay, what approach we have used? Basically, I am used the list over here. Okay. So first of all, I have initialized my ugly of 1 with 1 over here, and my I2 equals to 0. My I3 is also equals to 0 and I5 is also equals to 0. Okay. So these are basically pointers which are used to keep track of where we are in the list when multiplied by 2, 3 and 5. Okay. So let's consider an example like we have to find given n equals to 10. Okay. So in this case, what we will do? Okay, let's solve the question. So for first iteration, okay, my length of ugly is what 10 over here. Length of ugly is basically 1 only. So it must be less than 10 means while loop. So for first iteration, let me write in other color. So for first iteration over here, basically my next ugly 2 is what? Ugly of I2 multiply 2. Next ugly 2 is what? Next ugly 2 will be ugly of I2 multiply 2 means 1 multiply 2 which is 2. Similarly my next ugly of 3 will be 1 into 3 which is 3. Similarly my next ugly of 5 will be 1 multiply 5 which is what? 5. Okay. Then moving forward, to our next it means finding the smallest candidate. Okay. We will be finding the smallest candidate means choose the smallest candidate over here. So my next ugly. So basically my next ugly will be what? It will be equals to minimum of 2, 3 and 5. Minimum of 2, 3 and 5. Okay. So which is what? 2 over there. So we will be adding 2 to the ugly list. Means our 2 will be added in the list. And since our next ugly of 2 is incremented by 1, our I2 will be incremented by 1. So moving forward to our next iteration, to our second iteration. For second iteration, our next ugly of 2 will be what? It will be 2 into 2 which is 4. Similarly, next ugly of 3 will be 3 into 1 which is 3. Then next ugly of 5 which is equals to what? 1 into 5 which is equals to 5 over there. Okay. Then similarly, my next ugly will be what? Minimum of what? Minimum of 4, 3 and 5 which is what? 3. So my ugly will be equals to 1, 2 and 3. Okay. And in this case, I3 will be incremented by 1. I3 will be incremented by 1. Okay. Moving forward to our third iteration. Okay. To our iteration number 3. My next ugly of 2 is what? Ugly of I2 multiply 2 means 2 into 2 which is 4. Okay. Then similarly next ugly of 3 which is 2 into 3 which is 6. Then next ugly of 5 which is 1 multiply 5 which is what? 5. So basically my next ugly my next ugly will be what? Minimum of 4, 6 and 5. Okay. Which is going to be what? 4. So my ugly will be 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. Similarly, now my I2 will be what? My I2 again will be incremented by 1, which is going to be 2. Okay, keep in mind. So moving to our fourth iteration, my next ugly of 2 basically here was 3 into 2, which is 6. Then my next ugly of 3 basically it was 2 into 3, which was 6. And then next ugly of 5, which was 1 into 5, which was 5. Okay, so basically my next ugly will be what? Minimum of 6, 6 and 5, which is what? 5 over here. Okay. So basically my list will be containing what? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay. And my I5 will be incremented by 1. Okay. So moving forward, okay, moving forward to our fifth iteration. Moving forward to a fifth iteration. Okay. My next ugly of 2 was 3 into 2, which was 6. Okay. And then next ugly of 3 will be what? It will be 2 into 3, which is 6. And my next ugly of 5, which is 2 into 5, which is 10. Okay. So we have to find the minimum over here. Minimum means next ugly of minimum of what? 6, 6 and 10. Okay. 6, 6 and 10. So its minimum is what? Its minimum is 6. So my ugly array will be containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay. So moving forward, and my basically both I2 and I3 will be incremented by 1. Okay. So my I2 will be what? I2 will be 3 and my I3 will be now 2. Okay. Keep this in mind. Okay. Moving forward to my sixth iteration. Okay. To my sixth iteration. Basically, my next ugly of 2 over here is what? 4 into 2, which is 8. Then next ugly of 3, which is what? 3 into 3, which is 9. Then next ugly of 5, which is what? 2 into 5, which is 10. Okay, so my next ugly will be what? Minimum of what? 8, 9 and 10, which is what? Which is my 8 over here. Okay, so basically my new array will be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 8. Uh, as you are able to see that we have not considered 7 over here, means we didn't have 7, as 7 is not having prime factors like 2, 3 or 5. So here my I2 will be what? I2 will be 4. Okay, moving towards our seventh iteration. Our seventh iteration is next ugly of 2, which is what? 5 into 2. Okay, 5 into 2, which is 10. Then next ugly of 3, which is what? 3 into 3, which is 9. Then next ugly of 5, which is what? Which is 2 into 5, which is 10. Okay, so basically my next ugly will be minimum of 10, 9 and 10, which is what? 9 over here. Okay, it is basically 9 over here. So basically my new array will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 and 9. Okay, 8 and 9. Okay, and my I3 will be now incremented by 1, which is now 3. Okay, so moving forward to our 8th iteration. Okay, moving forward to our 8th iteration. So my next ugly of 2, which is what? 5 into 2, which is 10. Then my next ugly of 3, which is what? 4 into 3. 4 into 3, which is 12. Then my next ugly of 5, which is what? 2 into 5, which is 10. Okay, so my next ugly of array will be now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now I2 and I5 will be incremented by 1. Okay, so my I2 will be what? I2 will be equals to 5 and I5 will be equals to now 10. Sorry, 2. Okay, now let's see our last iteration, which is our ninth iteration. So basically my next ugly of 2, it will be what? Ugly of I2 multiply 2, means 6 multiply 2. 6 multiply 2, which is 12. Then next ugly of 3, which is my ugly of I3 multiply 3, which is 4 multiply 3 equals to 12. Then next ugly of 5, which is ugly of I5 multiply 5, which is 3 multiply 5, which is 15. Okay. So my minimum will be, means next ugly of minimum will be what? Minimum will be 12. So my ugly list will be containing now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Okay. 6, 8. Then 8, 9, 10, and 12. Okay. So my ugly list is now containing all the 10 elements. Okay. So my I2. I2 will be now what? I2 will be 6 and I3 will be 4. So this is basically my ugly list over here. This is basically my ugly list. Okay. And I've got all the elements over here. So now at last we have to return our ugly of n minus 1. N is what? N is 10. So ugly of 9. Okay. So my ugly of 9 is what? 12 over here. Okay. So my basic answer will be what? My answer will be equals to 12. So my answer will be what? Answer will be 12. Okay. So in this way, we have to solve the problem statement. Let me try to run the code. It's giving some indentation error. Okay. Indentation error it's giving. Now let's try to run it. Again, it's giving the indentation error. Okay. I think now it's okay. Now let me try to run it. Yeah, it's being accepted. Let me try to submit it. So basically my code over there is being accepted. Let me reload the page. Okay, my code is being accepted over here. Okay. So basically this was all for my today's problem of the day and your code, and you can see my code. Okay. I will upload the GitHub repository in the comment section, and this was basically the explanation for my code. Okay. The basic example which we have taken for n equals to 10, then for first iteration, then the second iteration, then third, fourth, okay, and then fifth iteration, and it's I2 and I3, then sixth iteration, then seventh iteration, and then eighth iteration, and nine, and then finally we got our answer. Okay. So friends, if you have any of the doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Okay. So thank you, friends.